Rogers Outdoors Radio, where we turn it upside down and look at the outside from the inside out. It's safe, it's legal, and we're having a blast. So put your shoes on, my friend, because we're going outdoors.
Welcome to Rodney Rogers Outdoors. I am Rodney Rogers. That right there is my partner, Coach Peace and Crime, Michael, the man himself.
What is going on here?
Man, Mike Coy, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Feels. Are you in Russia? What is this is a little bizarre.
Well, I don't know if you can see behind me. That's actually the sunset in the Keys that's going down right behind me as we speak. So I might have to put my sunglasses on to watch it go down.
Yeah, you think the light in the studio bouncing off your head is bad?
Man, yeah, even worse. You let me know if this gets too bad, and I'll shut out that old nasty sunset.
Actually, no. I think we're going to enjoy it with you. Actually, probably better than you because you're facing the other way.
So, Mike, you may have figured out by now that I am in the Florida Keys. We are at about midway down the Keys, just outside of Isla Mirada.
So you're actually in the Keys right now?
We're actually in the Keys right now.
Hey, I don't know if you knew this, but tomorrow starts a mini lobster season.
You know what? I heard tell that it actually is lobster season tomorrow, and I might have a boat to go out lobstering tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess the words jealousy might fit in here a little bit.
Well, don't be jealous, man. You know, you're at home, you're holding down the fort, and these are the things I do for us, Mike. This is what I do.
You are a trooper, to say the least, Rodney. A trooper.
I'll go to the ends of the earth for you, Mike Coy.
Well, it actually is pretty amazing. I mean, I know you're down in the Keys, and your dedication and take time to still want to continue and be consistent with the show that we do. I mean, this means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the viewers.
Yeah, I'm glad and it means a lot to me, and I'll tell you, and we're not able to do this without you pulling it off. I know I asked you yesterday, Mike, do you think we're able to pull off this show? I was going to be with Zach up there with Pelagic. They're doing a party up there with Pelagic, but the signal is just. I was up there today to try to pick up some kind of signal.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't, it wasn't happening.
Well, unfortunately, no matter how much we plan to put this together, we're still dependent on the phone companies here.
Yes, we are.
To get the message.
You know what? I thank them for getting us as far as we are right now.
Let's not complain.
Exactly.
And it's only going to get better. So this is pretty amazing.
Exactly. And the fact is here I am, I don't know, I'm 5.5 hours south of you. Took me about 5.5 hours to get here today. I left at 6 o'clock this morning. And I got here about just before noon, down here to Duck Key. Dude, the boats, this is the mini lobster season, man. This is Florida's coup de grace, so to speak.
So it officially starts tomorrow, yes?
It officially starts tomorrow.
2 days?
It's 2 days. Yep, it's Wednesday and Thursday, and it's going to be cranked up. We're going to be doing a creature feature dive, and that's Friday. And that's basically you get to go out in about 60 feet of water and dive with sharks, and a lot of cool stuff out there.
Where are you doing that at? Are you staying at a marina? Give us the rundown of your surroundings.
I'm actually in Hawks Cay right now. Hawks Cay is in Duck Key, about midway, just before Marathon and right after Isla Mirada. We're going out with a group tomorrow that's going to. There's about 10 of us on this dive boat for lobsters. One of them is actually what I had caught the largest lobster I had ever seen last year, and we're going to be showing pictures of that here lately. Or shortly. So the key is we get down here, we just enjoy ourselves. This is probably the first time in 20 plus years that I've actually been down here during the mini season. And the reason is it is so chaotic. I mean, it's absolutely, I can't even begin to tell you how many boats are down here. The FWC's down here, the Marine Patrol. I've seen more FWC and Marine Patrol down here in the last 3 hours.
Really?
Than I've seen in all the state of Florida in the last 15 years. So it's that they are serious, man. I mean, you know, this whole lobster thing is absolutely a big deal.
So your plans, you're down there till how long, Rodney?
I'll be back. We'll be headed back Saturday morning.
Okay.
Yeah, Saturday morning is when we head back. Obviously, we'll try to do a little bit of fishing down here. We're going to try to, do as much as we can while we're down here.
Now, are you actually doing scuba diving?
Oh yeah, we're diving.
Okay.
Got a 4-tank dive tomorrow, so we're going to be diving in between 15 to 30 feet of water.
So, and correct me guide me in, Rodney. So you're diving, but this is lobster diving. I'm still thinking of lobster where you're just kind of trolling behind the boat. You're diving for lobsters.
Yeah, we're diving for lobsters.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, here's the cool part. Just to give you an insight of one is I can't thank you enough for getting me. Since the first time you got me in that little pool of water when we were at the boat show in Tampa, that actually sparked me to get certified in diving. I mean, I had talked about it for years, and I know you and I had talked about it for years. And when you and I walked by that tank, that pool at the Tampa Boat Show, and they let me put the gear on, they let me swim around for a few minutes. It was absolutely amazing. Here, I'm going to turn this light on real quick right here, Mike.
Okay.
And put a little light in my face right here. I think I am. I thought I was.
If you want to just stay out of the picture, we'll enjoy the sunset. That's fine. You take your time.
You won't argue with that, huh? Let me see here. There we go. So, there we go. That's a little better, huh?
That is better.
Okay. It was aggravating me probably more than it was anybody.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good, but that looks better. But don't ruin our sunset, okay?
I promise I won't ruin your sunset. But what I was saying is, so that sparked me to dive. And I know we have a lot of people that talked about, Rodney, what can I do to get into diving? I'm going to tell you, here's where it's going to benefit us tomorrow. Let's say, just for numbers' sake, there's 1,000 people here tomorrow looking for lobster. Only about 15% of them will be certified divers and able to get out there in the little bit deeper water and look for lobster. So it kind of gives us that advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
To catch those lobsters in their little bit deeper haunts. I mean, I sent you a picture earlier of a gentleman named Greg. He'll be diving with us. And he actually, that was last year's dive, this exact same time last year on the mini season. And he actually was heading back to the boat with about 1,000 pounds of air.
Really?
And he saw these tentacles coming out of a hole, and then all of a sudden he said he looked into that hole and he thought it was a live Maine lobster, with the claws, and he couldn't believe it. And it turned out that this lobster was actually 36 inches long from tip to tip, and 7 pounds.
Wow.
From antenna to tip of tail was 36 inches. And that was an absolute amazing lobster. I mean, that thing's a giant. That's the pictures. I don't know if you're able to throw those up.
We're looking at them now, Rodney.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not used to having all the screens in front of me.
So that is what kind of, that's not a Maine lobster. What is that then we're looking at?
That is a spiny lobster.
That is a spiny.
Are spiny lobsters. Now the head of that lobster is called the carapace, and that's between the two spines and the back of the neck of the lobster.
Okay.
And that has to be 3 inches. And I think on that lobster, he said it was almost 8.5, 9 inches to the back of that carapace. And as you can see, there's a picture of him just kind of bear hugging this thing because he got it out of the hole and he really couldn't get it in the net. You know, he was trying to fight it, and his buddy Joe looked at him like, you know, what are you doing? Just put the hug on it and let's get it to the surface. So while he was wrestling with this in about 15 feet of water, he ran out of air and had to use what he had left to get him to the surface and swim several hundred yards back to the boat.
Wow. Yeah, because typically 1,000 pounds of pressure is when you want to start coming up, and you're saying he was heading up.
And that's what he was doing. You know, he said he was headed back to the boat, just scooting along the bottom, taking his time when he come across this big guy. And it was 7 pounds. That was a 7-pound lobster.
Jeez.
And the other picture I sent is obviously him, you know, he had it mounted. So it was that lobster on a plaque.
You don't hear of people mounting lobsters too often, do you? Or is that?
Actually, it's a pretty big thing, and I want one for myself. If I get a 3 or 4 pound lobster, I will definitely have it mounted. It is a beautiful, you know what? I don't know if I posted it, and Mike, you can remind me. The slow-mo video of a spiny lobster.
I don't recall seeing that.
Okay, so I'm going to post that tonight, and people can see how beautiful this thing is. I think I did a slow-mo video over the whole lobster.
Was this from when you were in the Keys earlier with Nick last year?
Last year,
okay.
This came up. This is when we were catching them last year during the monsoon that we came down here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big difference.
So Rodney, back to this gentleman mounting this. Is this like a fish where it's not really the lobster? Or do you actually mount the lobster now?
Yeah, this is the actual lobster.
Okay.
The good thing about lobster and crabs when you have them mounted, I've got a blue crab being mounted. They have the exoskeleton, so their skeleton's on the outside. So everything on the inside just kind of dries out, and they kind of scrape it.
Sure.
Some put it in a formaldehyde base solution, and it dries out, and then it just kind of it maintains a lot of its original color. And they'll touch it up here and there in
sure.
places, and then they'll put a clear coat over it, and it's a beautiful mount. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. Mike, in the midst of this, I'm going to try to pull up Facebook on my and see if we even got questions. Wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah, good. That's your job, you know.
While we're doing this, because I know, short of the season, I want to make sure. Pow.
I'm glad you thought of that, Rodney, because that's not on my radar.
So I'm going to turn this down. I can see us loud and clear.
Okay. Well, that's good news. So at least I have one watching in the Keys.
Yes,
yeah.
You actually got several more by the looks of it. So, like I said, I mean, right behind us, you see that's the ocean.
East coast or west coast of Alamorada?
We're on the east side.
You're on the east side, okay.
East coast of it,
okay.
And that's a big question we get a lot. Are the rules different on each side? And yes, they are. It depends on location. I mean, you can literally swing around to the west side of the west coast that quick. I mean, just so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And somebody said tonight, and we've said this 1,000 times, and I can thank Tyler Balmer for telling me this. I says, how do we know, who knows all the rules? And he says, there's one guy that does, and that's the man himself. You can be sure he knows the rules.
Yeah, but Jesus doesn't fish too much.
What's that now?
Jesus doesn't fish too much. He used to a lot, from what I understand.
Yeah, he used to be a big fisherman.
He was huge.
He was a big fisherman. So, it's if you're down here in the Keys, definitely look us up. Poke us on Facebook, and we'll come say hi to you, man, if nothing else. We've entered a few contests for largest lobster. Steve posted them there, a fisher of men. Exactly
Right. So you've already got your group selected, because this guy you said is in your fishing group, the guy who had the big 7-pounder?
Yes, he is in the fishing group.
He come down with you? Is he just...
Yeah, he came down in the group. It's our whole group of people. I mean,
okay. Good.
If you ask me, I can name 4 or 5 of them, but that's about it.
That's all right.
So I can squeeze out about 5 names, and then I'd be embarrassed. Now nope. Greg and Tom are names I remember, and of course Lisa, Sydney, Carter, let's end it right there. How's
Perfect.
that sound?
Yeah, I've learned not to put you on the spot with some of those questions.
Well, it's like I introduced myself tonight to some of them. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to remember this later, I'm not going to drink on this whole trip if that tells you anything.
Yeah, and what you meant was you're not even going to remember your own name later.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good for you, man.
You don't want to mix alcohol with the diet tank.
Of course. And I saw your post the other day that you're looking for a trainer.
Yes.
So I thought, oh, here we go.
Top of that,
it's time. Rodney's pulling out all the stops.
I've kind of got to thin out some of this blubber on me. You know, it's kind of embarrassing.
Let's
put it this way: when I put the wetsuit on to give it a shot, I got stretch marks in the belly. You know, it's just.
Yeah, I hear you. So tonight's the new and improved, the new and healthier Rodney Rogers Outdoors Live episode.
Well, there's one thing for sure. Huffy is definitely right. I had to walk over from the restaurant, and I think I sweat. I think I almost didn't make it. I thought I was going to die on the doorstep.
So you're in the Keys primarily to sporting wise to go lobstering.
Absolutely.
You're down there because it's lobster mini season.
Our main thing is we'll be diving the 2 days. We'll be doing 8 dives total with the 4 tanks each day.
8 dives total. Wow.
8 dives, which pretty much means that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be hanging around a depth anywhere from 15 to 30 feet.
Okay.
You don't have to, if you stay above that 30-foot line, and as a diver, we'll be able to stretch that tank out a little more. Man, I miss my cup of coffee, man. It is different without you, brother. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is.
Well, absence makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Amen. Amen.
Cheers to that. Hey, Rodney, while you're talking about lobstering, let's get into it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Break down the seasons for me, because like I say, there's 2 days now, but that doesn't mean lobster season's over.
No, it just means that it's the it's over for these 2 days, and I'm going to pull this up. Wham! Let me get this fishing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up exactly so I can give you the exact days, because I don't want to.
No, it's fine. And I'm actually on the FWC's little iPod app. What do you call this thing? iPhone app.
iPhone.
Yeah, 2017 Spiny Lobster season opens with the 2-day recreational sports season, July 26th and 27th. That's tomorrow and Thursday, followed by the regular commercial and recreational lobster season, which starts August 6th.
Okay, is it the 6th?
And runs through the 31st of March.
Okay. Yes. Perfect. All right.
So 2 days, but then we're done until August 6th, which is, I guess, pathetically next week.
Yeah, exactly. Next Saturday. Not this coming, but the following Saturday. Absolutely.
So you've got a preview of the season. You're in early. This is the early bird special.
Yeah, this is the early bird special. No one can commercial fish these 2 days. This is called the recreational, the mini season, 2 days only. And that's why it's so packed, because those first 2 days is usually when everybody piles up the lobster. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just, now when I say piles up, you're still only allowed your limit of lobster, which is 6 per person.
I was going to ask my next question. 6 per person per day, right?
Per day, exactly. So, our take for the 2 days will be 12 lobster per person. So
but when you say it out loud, that's still a lot of lobster. You go to Red Lobster and order 12 lobsters, they're going to look at you weird.
Well, yeah, but you got to figure the cost of lobster doing what we're doing right now runs about $700 a pound. You're not save money, you know what I mean?
Touche.
You're not coming down here to say, lobster free. No, lobster's not free. It's just no way is it free.
It's more expensive doing it your way than it is going to a fancy restaurant. Yeah.
No, but it's the experience. It's the dives. It's Joe, one of the guys that's in our group. They took their boat out a couple weekends ago, and there's a sailfish in 12 feet of water. And he jumps in the water with this sailfish, and he's filming this sailfish in 12 feet of water. I mean, how cool is that?
That's crazy.
It's crystal clear water, and he's got all these amazing pictures of this sailfish like right there in their face. And I mean, it's just one of those cool things. So I'm hoping for a couple of things. One is I've got all my GoPros, so I'm all loaded up, batteries charged, disc cleaned out. I've got all that, so I hope to really see some really cool stuff tomorrow. Lobster is a bonus, if you ask me.
Sure.
You know, it to me it's that extra oomph of what you get to do. But you know, to me, it's what else are we going to see while we're down here?
Yeah.
The keys is, I mean, we walk out the back door here. I mean, now you start to see that sunset. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And you know, it's just that's why you're here. It really is. I'm gonna pop up Facebook here because we had a question. So, how deep can lobster go is one of the questions. And the fact is, they can go to the bottom. They travel a long way to the state of Florida. They're in 500-600 feet of water, just like they're in 12 feet of water.
Yeah.
Or they migrate in and out. We've got lobster that stay here, but they do a lot of migrating as well.
Well, last year you caught them right under the dock, did you not?
What's that now?
Last year you caught them right under the dock.
Yeah, last
sort
year, yeah, we were right behind our thing, and it's just lobsters all over the place. Yeah, they're right on the walls and the docks. But we were actually where we caught the mainstay of our lobsters was about 300 yards off the shoreline. We found a pile of rocks.
Sure.
On the calm side of the island, because it was just, like I said, it was 7 foot seats. So we went to the calm side of the island and got lucky and found a pile of rocks at about 15 to 20 feet. And man, we cleaned up. We absolutely cleaned up.
Yeah, but I'll say this, nothing's as cool as strapping on a tank and going down 30 or 40 feet and grabbing one, right?
No, exactly. There's nothing, I'll tell you, man. It's as well as, you got NASCAR fans that say, man, I feel sorry for people that don't get to watch a NASCAR race. And I feel sorry for people that don't get to see what we see at 30 feet,
Agreed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, it's an amazing experience. I mean, it's crystal clear water and it's just, I mean, you'll see when I post the videos, it's just absolutely amazing. So I'm gonna make sure I do not get in this water without a GoPro. If I don't come up with any lobster, I'm okay with that as long as I get good footage.
Amen, brother. That's my man talking.
Because you and I, go ahead, brother.
No, here's my photo request. As much as getting underwater footage, how many people are on the boat, Rodney?
There'll be like 12 people on this boat that we have, 12 divers.
So, do the math. If you're allowed 6 lobsters,
I got you. 72.
I want to see a picture from the boat topside
for 72 lobsters
with the lobsters. Even if it's just 1 or 2, I want to see some topside pictures as well.
Absolutely. Okay, I can do that. Absolutely. Yeah. Especially with the GoPro, I've got my stick. We can down on it and definitely get some awesome footage of that. It's going to be great.
So go back to the limit, 6 per person per day. What about size?
Now size is that carapace we're talking about.
Okay.
And here's a secret. And John and and his wife and family has been diving down here for years. And I showed him a little trick today that he didn't know. And basically what I did is you get these measuring tools that you measure lobsters with in the carapace, and you measure on the carapace, which is the center of the two the horns, what they call to the back of the neck. And that has to be 3 inches. And what that means is, your slide cannot slide over that thing. So, we were in Bass Pro Shop, and I held up, a metal one to a plastic one, and some of them were, it looked like that.
You've talked about that before.
And there was a guy there, was an art show there of artists painting, fish and all this stuff. And he had a tape measure there. And I said, sir, you mind if I borrow your tape measure? And he goes, no. So I found one that was exactly 3 inches. And some of them were as much as, 3/16 of an inch off, too small.
That could be expensive.
that can be an expensive ticket. So it is up to you. It is your job to make sure that measuring tool is the length that it says. Just because they say it's 3 inches or 2 3/4 for stone crab claws, it has to be on the money, and it's your responsibility to make sure it is. I know we probably won't go into it tonight, but if you've seen on the FWC website, there was some gentleman from Alabama down here 2 weeks ago and caught over 330 lobster illegally. Yeah, and most of them were too small. They didn't have a license. I mean, it's a stack, stack of
violations.
laws.
Yeah.
I mean, they piled them up. So I was talking to Greg, the one that had the big lobster, and he said he spoke to the Marine Patrol today, the FWC, and he says they're looking at best 5 years. These guys are looking at about 5 years at worst. So that's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And two things you said, Rodney, and number one, if you walk away from this podcast or this broadcast alone with one tip, is measure the measuring device. Because
Yes.
Again, that's something I would walk out of a store buying it going, I've got it, I'm legal, I'm straight.
I'm guilty.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm guilty.
Why would you think otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you how I found out. Last year when Nick and I were diving, we get to the boat and, we measured. You have to, by law, measure your lobster underwater. You can't get them to the boat and check them and toss them. So, yeah.
Elaborate on that. Yeah, continue your thought, but come back to that.
Yeah, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because when you toss that over, there's barracuda, there's sharks. They're eating these lobsters as fast as you're tossing them overboard. So it's illegal to bring it to the boat, measure it, and then toss it. You have to measure it and make sure. But here's the mistake we made. We got them to the boat, and as we're putting them in the boat, I had some that were 3 inches. Nick had some were 3 inches, and for some reason they didn't look the same. So as I measured them, they were too small. So we could not figure out what the problem was. So we put our two tools together. I had a metal one, Nick had a plastic one, and Nick's plastic one was a 1/4 inch too short. So we had to put these guys back in the net, swim them right back to the rocks that we dug them out of, and release them. I mean, it only happened to about 5 of them.
Sure. Sure.
Out of all the ones we caught over the 7 days. But, my gosh, if we would have got caught with those guys, I mean, it would have been a big deal. They just don't play with that. I mean, you and I subscribe to Deer Meat for Dinner.
That we do.
Now, Deer Meat for Dinner has 500,000 followers on YouTube. I mean, they have a huge following. They have all the sponsors. They're great people.
But they're not as good looking as you are, Rodney.
I know.
I'm just throwing that out there.
And they pride themselves on knowing the rules, just like we do. We try. We've made some mistakes in the past, but I mean, I was watching one of his episodes out where they were crab fishing, and he had his traps. He had his traps with a big R on the buoy like he was supposed to. He had his name, the trap tagged as a recreational, and he had his name and phone number. But guess what he didn't have on that tag? His address.
Really?
And because he did not have his address, they fined him for each trap, and it was a $415 fine. So, and he even got on there and said, look, I'm not one to complain, but I had almost all the information. Well, the FWC don't all the information. You got to get it right.
Oh, for sure.
So let's see here. Is Catherine the Shark going to be calling in?
Oh, who is that? There's the one from the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, that's Steve was like, is Catherine the Shark going to be calling in?
Good call, Steve. Good call.
And Patrick was like, thanks for doing all this hard work, Rodney. Man, Patrick, it's just...
So, Rodney, back to the whole condition of the lobster.
Yes. So once you have them in your boat, you got to leave them in whole condition till you get to your location. You can't start peeling lobster out on the boat, and that's a key thing that you got to remember. You can't just peel your lobster out and start pulling the heads off and bringing back just the tails. You're going to find yourself in a pickle. The one thing you want to do down here, especially during mini lobster season, is do it exactly like the book. You cannot fish for lobster within 300 feet of shore. Now, let me explain something to you. There are rules that apply during mini season that do not apply during regular season.
Good call.
So, you want to watch this, because where you normally go during regular season, some of those areas are closed off.
Yeah.
And they close them off per season, certain areas, certain county. So pay attention to that. Don't get caught in those areas that you're not supposed to be in. That is another key thing. We have actually hired a boat that's going to take us out. And, of course, anytime you're hiring a captain, which I would recommend you do, especially if you're coming down for the first trip, hire a captain and say, hey, let's go find some lobster. And they'll take you to areas that they know, and they'll drop you down. And, worst case scenario, you'll see some cool stuff.
Yeah, always recommended to hire a captain.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask about licensing, but I also know that you're with a captain. So what's the basic license you need, and how does it change now that you're with a captain?
Well, here's how it's going to work with our captain. In the state of Florida, if you have a captain, you will not need a saltwater fishing license if you're fishing. We're technically lobstering, so you're going to want to get a lobster stamp and a saltwater fishing license. You're going to need both of those.
Wait, just so I'm clear, you know me, is this
Right.
with or without the if you didn't have a captain, what would you need?
I would need a saltwater fishing license and a lobster stamp.
Okay, but you have a captain, so now
Saltwater fishing and a license and a lobster stamp.
so same thing?
So yeah, when you have a captain and you're diving, and I was trying to abreast myself with these rules before I went in. Lobster stamp is 100%. The saltwater fishing license, you know what? Let me double check that. I'm 99% sure. I could be wrong.
No, I respect that. And one thing I've learned about you is you want to make sure you're correct.
Yeah,
Because being on a charter changes things.
It does.
Sometimes.
It does. I believe it falls, but let me tell you this. Get the saltwater fishing license and your lobster stamp. You're going to need your lobster stamp no matter what. That is a given. That is captain or no captain. You're going to need your stamp. So you're only talking another $17 for your saltwater fishing license. And, that's just a good thing for the state to do. So let me pull up here, regulations, angler. Nope. So.
Well, I've got this, but again, this is not taking into consideration a captain, a recreational saltwater fishing license, exactly what you said, Rodney, and a spiny lobster permit are required for recreational harvest of spiny lobsters, unless you have an exemption of blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But the FWC doesn't spit it out for if you are with a captain. That's not part of their.
Right. Yeah, because I researched that as much as I could before I got on, because I knew that question was going to come up.
Yeah, if you're going fishing, deep sea fishing, you don't need a license. It's covered under the captain. I don't know if that's true with spiny lobster.
Right. I don't know if that falls into that.
Get back to us on that. Post that tomorrow, Rodney, will you?
Actually, I'll post it tonight. I'll make sure I find that answer tonight.
It's a good question.
I'll make sure I find that answer tonight. I'm sure I was kind of peeking through here right now.
Or any of our Facebook viewers watching right now. By the way, Rodney, did you know we're live on Facebook and YouTube right now?
We are
worldwide.
You know what? I shot right to lobster season. For those of you who don't know, this is mine and Mike's 1 hour vacation. We absolutely enjoy this time every single week.
He says as he's in Islamorada and I'm in Orlando, Florida. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
That's why.
Times would be changing, Rodney. Times would be changing.
Well, I tell you, man, I get a lot of time off from Universal. That they really take care of me, and I'm out of time, brother. I'm till my everything renews in October.
In October next month. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're out of
yeah.
time till next month.
I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. It looks like I've got to work for the next 2 months.
Yeah, Rodney, look behind you. It looks like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, hold on, let me
Let me remove myself from the photo. There we go.
look at there, Mike. That's the sunset in the Keys. Over
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
you know. Uh,
Nicely done, Rodney.
So hopefully, we can do some fishing right behind here. It's not quite as deep as the last place we stayed at. Last place we stayed at was like 40 feet right behind the building. So we had a plethora. We had sharks back there. We had, Goliath groupers. We had mangrove snappers. It's a little shallow here. We have a ton of mangroves behind me, but I'm seeing some small mangrove snappers and some, huge parrotfish. I'm starting to see a lot of that, and I don't know if you could fish. I brought fishing poles, and I'm going to give it a shot. Definitely one day this week, and see if I can't.
Rodney, I see cars going behind you. What is that road over there?
That is headed south to Marathon.
That's going south. Okay.
I'm in Duck Key, and that right there is the end of Duck Key. That's how quick you're in and out of Duck Key. We got right on. We got Chris Cameron watching us tonight. Chris, absolutely. So we're actually staying right on Duck Key. And I'll tell you this. Let me tell you, in my experience, and I'm not the most experienced guy, and I'm just, I've done this, a few times, enough to say that I think I could help you out on a few tips. When you're staying down here, and you want to find an area to stay. One of the most famous that you hear of is Duck Key and Hawks Cay. Hawks Cay is a huge community of just, of rooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, whatever you want. But you cannot fish inside of Duck Key anywhere on this property. So you pay top dollar in this place, and you can't fish the water around it. So I don't like that.
That's
I don't
interesting.
Like that. You're in the Keys. You're paying top dollar. They should have an area designated for fishing. So for that money, I would suggest that you look just outside of here in Marathon, and all these other minor keys, Isla Mirada, and look for a short-term rental house or a condo unit association or something of that nature. You're going to pay the same money, and there's a 99% chance that you're going to get to fish right behind that house. Now, a bonus is obviously you get to park your boat right behind here, but you can almost do that on any of these places that you rent. If you don't, then they have a place where you can store it for a few extra dollars, a night. And if you ask me, in my opinion, you may not be asking me, it's certainly worth a few extra dollars to go to where you have your own stuff. Because we got people, young kids that I'd like to just say, hey, let me go out here and show you how to catch a mangrove snapper. But we can't. We're not allowed to fish here. We have to go up on the main road, find a bridge where everybody else is at. And I think, you should be able to pay for your seclusion, and have the option to fish.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
So that's just my observation. Nice place. Super nice place. It's beautiful. So we'll be doing a lot of cooking, and I'll be doing my Alfredo lobster, and maybe even our tomato-based sauce lobster. So we're gonna be eating some lobster while we're down here, might I say.
We
So
expect to at least be seeing some photographs of said eaten lobster.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be posting photographs. Now, honestly, I just shot straight down here today, so I wanted to stop, take pictures of this and that, but I wanted to get here. And you know me, man, I like to get here, look at my surroundings, see what my options are, if I can fish, if I can't fish. That's one of the first things they said, you can't fish here. Redneck, I don't know what you're doing. But you have to put fishing poles back. So we may not get to pull the fishing poles out, and then again, we may. We'll see how this goes. But me, I'm in the Keys. I'm gonna want to fish. hands down. So I'm gonna find a place. I just got to find a safe place to fish.
Hey, I've got another question. Back to the lobster question.
Absolutely.
Egg-bearing lobsters.
Yes. Caviar, lobster caviar is delicious. No, no. Egg, egg-bearing lobsters, you gotta release immediately. I mean, you think caviar is good? Lobster caviar. Let me
Try
tell
the
you.
manatee while you're down there too, Rodney.
Try manatee while you. Hey, you know what? We'll talk about snooty here in a second. That's a whole other subject. But yeah, if it's an egg bearing, we try to release them. Well, we don't try. We do. It's by law you have to release the egg bearing right away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. Yeah. You want them to, we want more lobster. That's the bottom. Because over these next few months, man, 4 or 5 months, these lobster are going to be hit hard. I mean, if you drive down here, you'll see these lobster traps on the side of the road, thousands of lobster traps. So once they start commercial season, it's going to get, it's going to get hit pretty hard.
Is there a buzz down there yet with the season? I mean,
what's that now?
I've been down there like Memorial Day, Labor Day, when it's, it's activity and party time, and but with lobster season, is there a buzz?
Oh yeah.
Is it crowded? I mean, you can feel it going?
Oh yeah. I mean, you see, it's like a circus all the way here. I mean, the traffic is backed up. You got FWC saying, "Hey, pull in here. We'll give you all the information you need to." I'm going to try to shoot up there tomorrow if we got time and see if we can't talk to them. Depending on what time we get back in, I'd like to get some information from them. Maybe do a little quick video of, hey, what do you recommend? Blah blah blah.
Sure.
Shoot us some rules. Sometimes them fellas don't like to be on camera. So, so I mean, it's like the stores are packed. Hey, get your dive gear here.
Yeah.
Get your tickle sticks. Get your this and that. So you know what? Let's take a minute and talk about the gear that you're going to get. How about that?
Let's do it.
So once you get to where you're going, or on your way, you get a couple things that's very important. 2 things that I consider most important. Mask and snorkel is going to be your number one. But aside from mask, snorkel, and fins, which you're going to need no matter what, you're going to want a glove. Gloves are probably as important as your mask because these spiny lobsters are sharp.
So they live up to their name.
There's a reason they're called spiny lobsters.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, as soon as we get done tonight, I'll post that video up, and people will be able to see me. I slowly go around the spiny lobster, and you'll see immediately why the spiny lobster got its name, spiny lobster. They do not have the big pinchers like the big Maine lobster do. And then you're going to need a tickle stick, and a tickle stick is just a long, curved rod at the end, and it'll, as the lobster goes along, you're actually reaching behind it and kind of barely touching that lobster, and you're driving that lobster in the direction you want it to go. Because remember, these things swim backwards, just like this. So you're going to tickle from behind and get them to slowly walk forward. So as you tickle the back side, they'll slowly walk forward on you.
That was your hit of 1978, wasn't it? Tickled from behind?
Yes.
The Rodney, I remember that one.
It's
one of my favorite 45, actually.
I see it coming now. Yeah. You ain't been tickled till you've been tickled from behind. I don't know.
That's why I love you, Rodney.
Oh my gosh. And we're off. So
so you tickle them the way you want them to go.
You just slightly touch them and you bring them right to your net. Now, once they get, with their back toward you, then, give them a little pop and they'll jump right in the net. Now, these things are lightning fast. And when I say lightning fast, I mean, you got to get that net folded up on this thing. And all you hear this is what you hear when it's in the water. Sounds like a little pig.
Really?
Absolutely. They just go, and you hear sounds like bones cracking and all this, and that's just their, their body. It's creepy as anything, you know. And it's basically a shark call.
Yeah, right.
Yep. When those things start crunching up, you hear the, you just know the sharks are going, hey man, I'm coming to get some of that lobster.
Now, do you know about anything about bowling nets? What a bowling net is?
Yeah, that's your net that you're catching.
That is okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's your net you're catching it with. Now, and you have, you need a net bag beside you so you can put that thing in there and zip it up. Last year we dove with a guy that was in the water for 2 hours and he kept throwing lobsters in his bag and he had the bottom of it unzipped. So they were basically going in the back of the bag. So, and he was running on a rebreather or not a rebreather, but, those things that float on top of the water with the motors. So Nick and I felt bad and went down and caught him 6 lobsters. I mean, he worked so hard with this thing. He fought this hose for 2 hours and, he was basically working off land. And I said, dude, get in the boat. I didn't know who he was. I said, get in the boat, bring your machine, and, we'll get you out there. We're finding the lobsters. He couldn't thank us enough. He's just a super nice guy. So we were able to get him down there. And he was, as he's throwing his lobsters in, they're shooting right out of the back of the bag. So as he gets to the boat, I go, how many did you get, Chief? He held his bag up because he looks around. He didn't have a single lobster. It was all gone.
Oh, my gosh.
So Nick and I used our last bit of air and said, come on, man, we'll hook you up. So we went down there and piled him up some lobster. So, but it's, it's just that experience that I think if you're a Floridian, it's kind of a rite of passage.
I think so, too. Yeah.
Scallops, you did the scallops. I mean, you saw how much fun that was. I mean, that was absolutely a blast. And you get, it's like scallops run about $237 a pound.
Well, it's one of these things that you talk about because you are a resident of Florida. And well, let me back up. Where else do you go lobster? Where is their lobster season?
All over the state of Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you get them in. I mean, they're off the beaches. If you get off deep enough in the beaches, you get 90 feet of water. If you feel like diving around the shipwrecks, I mean, these lobsters are everywhere.
But the Keys is access, right? Easy access, more or less.
Yeah, easy access. Yeah, the Keys are super easy access. I mean, tomorrow there'll be guys in Sebastian Inlet, chasing lobster. So there's just, it's everywhere.
Okay.
These things are everywhere. They're up the coastline. If you go up like Fort Myers and Fort Lauderdale, there's a little drop off there where it goes, it drops off really quick. And soon as it gets around to that 60, 70, 80 feet of water.
Whole different ball game.
Yeah, there's giant lobster up there. Yeah. I am not a deep diver. I have no fun deep diving. It's just not my gig. There's probably guys out there that's like, yeah, man, 900 feet, that's me. Yeah, right on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not me. Yeah. I'm 40 foot is my comfort zone. I can dive deeper, but it's just my air's shorter. I have to have my computer running to tell me all my stops are. I don't want to do that.
But as you were saying, kind of a rite of passage and living in Florida, you hear talk about it. And even though we understand it and get it, there is something different about, it's in your own backyard, literally.
Yeah.
5 hours. We are blessed. We're in Central Florida, but again, 5 hours put you at Islamorada, Florida, which is one of the dive capitals of the world, or dive and fishing capitals of the world.
That's man, and you dove all over the world. Yeah. You tell me how you like it.
Yeah, we're incredibly blessed, and to not take advantage of it. And like you say, I was fortunate to do scalloping. I haven't done lobstering yet, so it's on my bucket list. So I'm going to be watching intently to your every move this week.
Well, I'll tell you this: come August, a little bit later in August, me and you will make a trip down here. Even if we sleep in the truck, we'll rent a boat for a day. We can rent a boat for $100 a day, and I'm telling you what, you can't pull your boat down here for $300.
Nope.
You really can't.
Yeah.
So we rent a boat for $300 for a day, and we just get out there and we do some lobster. It's or $200. During off this main mini season, all the rates drop. The boat rates, the hotel rates. They do a drop.
Sure.
It's not drastic. You might pay $200 a night, $175 a night. Just depends on where you're at. but I mean, you know, you're going to pay that anywhere. You're going to pay that at Universal Studios. You're going to pay it at, you know, Holiday Inn on the West Coast just watching.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. You know, just throw you some snorkel gear and, you know, get out here and take a little John boat or canoe out and, you know, find some rocks and find some lobster.
So there will be people finding lobster that aren't going out on boating excursions.
Oh yeah, yeah. There'll be I'll shoot some video of all the boats we see tomorrow. It's going to be crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Safety is the number one issue. Make sure you got your dive flags out. You got to have, you know, one on your boat. You got to have one in the water. You know, people are not supposed to, you know, come within, I think it's 350 feet or 300 feet or whatever that number is, within that dive flag.
Right. Yeah.
Some of, you know, so they do. I mean, you know, one of our great friends was hit by a boat down here in the dive flags. So, I mean, and killed. So, you know, it's safety is that if you're the driver, captain of the boat, you know what, this is that time of the year. I know it's great to chug down a few beers and get out there and have fun, but man, pay attention. I mean, you don't want that on your, you know, on your chest. You know, safety is the key. And that's simply why I'm not drinking this weekend at all. A couple reasons. One is, I don't like to drink and dive. See what I Anyway. Wah, 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 wah.
Oh.
So, and, you know, and it's just, it's safe.
I was late to it, but there you go.
I'll take it. So, you know, and you just want to be safe. You know, you want everybody to have that amazing experience, and that's certainly what I'm here for.
Sure.
I'm here for that experience.
Yeah.
You know?
So tomorrow, what time's your dive tomorrow morning?
So we're going to be leaving here probably around 6:30, 7-ish. Got to rent dive gear, you know, get all that fitted in, get your, you know, all your paperwork signed and all that good stuff. We're going to try to pull out. I think it's about 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish.
Okay.
You know, safe light, everything's coming up, and that's when we're going to try to pull out. I think we're going a couple miles offshore. It's like 4, 5, 6 miles. You know, kind of like where we went diving, or me, you, and Kim went diving.
Yeah.
You know, that 40, 50-foot range.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some 30-foot range, some 10, 12-foot range. That's kind of where we're going to be at. So, you know, that's my favorite depth. I mean, it really is. You get to spend so much time down there. I know last year we could get almost 2 hours out of a dive tank. You know, it's at, you know, 15, 16 feet of water.
Yeah.
You're not exerting yourself a whole lot. You're just taking your time. You know, it's not like he looked like a duck-billed platypus digging down in the mud. You know, so let's see. I'm just looking at some comments, brother.
Make sure we're not missing anything, Rodney.
And like Steve said, don't count our chickens before we hatch. Amen. Amen. So we got Steve Schulteitz watching the show tonight. Our man Steve. We don't get to see him very much.
I know.
But so like I said, there's a ton of stuff to do down here. There's a ton of, I mean, if you're looking for a charter fish, you got the humps, you know, 10 or 15 miles out, which is just, I don't know, I think it's 700-800 feet of water. You've been out to the humps before, right?
I have been to the humps, yeah.
You know, the fishing is, my gosh, impeccable out there in most days.
Yep.
You know, it's just like anywhere else. I mean, it's just, they swordfish out of the Keys. If you want a swordfish trip, you know, book a swordfish trip. You know, state of Florida is one of the few places we don't allow commercial sword fishing. You know, so that's a cool thing. We have a high success rate of swordfish. If you're that guy, I will be one day. Hopefully, I'd like to catch one without a captain. You know, I'd like to catch one on our own.
I get that. Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's different.
So, you know, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. But the key is just to get out there. You know, we've been saying it from the get-go. You know, just absolutely get out there and enjoy, you know, whatever it has to offer. plan ahead is the key. If you know, like we have stone crab season coming up in October 15th. If you love stone crab, there's a ton. I'm starting to see stone crab everywhere. The West Coast, the East Coast. Sorry, I had a call pile in. So, it's West Coast, it's East Coast. I mean, it's actually on both sides.
Okay.
So, you can, I mean, it's do your research. Dang it. He keeps calling. I don't know what the problem may be. He calls again, I'm going to put the wham. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. Let me see here. Pow. Oh, well, dude, we're out of time.
Pow is right, man.
Have I jabbered that long?
Well, look behind you. Look at your sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've lost the sunset. I'm not sure if I like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure there'll be another one tomorrow for you.
I'll watch the sunrise. How's that?
There you go, man.
I pray I watch the sunrise.
Rodney, thanks for taking time out of your time down there to continue this.
Mike, thanks for putting this together,
yeah.
Man. I mean, it's easy for me to just fire up and fire up the the FaceTime but you've got that whole niche up there.
Well, I'll give you kudos. You framed yourself very nicely there.
Oh, I tried, man.
Yeah.
You taught me well.
Nicely done. Well, Rodney, you take care. We'll get out of here before I have to put another quarter in the machine.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much.
Any last thoughts?
You know what? Enjoy Florida as much as you can, man. I mean, especially while we got a little bit of good weather. And as my mama said 18 million times, and I pray I get to say it half as much, you kids get outside and stay.
Nicely done.
Right on. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Looked really good.
Did it really?
Very impressed.
I actually had Facebook down here on my iPad. It looked great.
That's great. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't shoddy or it wasn't. It went very well, man.
Yeah, no glitches. And again, now that you can hear the music and so you can hear the cues and stuff.
Yeah.
You're tied right.
Now.
So.
That's absolutely awesome, brother. Man, this has come a long way, dude.
Yeah, no, nicely done. It looked good. Right. I was ready to do questions and everything, but I figured we'd just chat through an hour, so it went pretty much like planned.
Well, we just shot right through it. So,
hey, on a personal note, I'm very